The public unveiling of Caitlyn Jenner this week was greeted largely with positive comments, which seems to be prompting some soul searching among social conservatives. According to the Washington Post, quote, to social conservatives, the widespread acceptance of Jenner's evolution from an Olympic gold medalist whose masculinity was enshrined on a Wheaties box to a shapely woman posing suggestively on the cover of Vanity Fair was a reminder that they are losing the culture wars. Across social media, blogs, and talk radio this week, conservatives painted an apocalyptic view of America.
Conservatives and Republicans are the new weirdos, the new kooks. And that is part of the political objective here in normalizing all of this really marginal behavior. I mean, if less than 1% of the population is engaging in it, it's marginalized behavior. It isn't normal, no matter how you define it.
If you want one snapshot of just how corrupt, how morally twisted, how morally confused, how morally bankrupt we have become, all you've got to do is take a look at the cover of Vanity Fair magazine.
Liberals are always, science, and conservatives don't believe science.
Right.
This Bruce Jenner still has Y chromosomes in every cell of his body.
Right.
Do not tell me he is a girl. If it's real, it is a mental illness, and I don't think we should be celebrating it and laughing about it.
Joining us now is Robert Costa, national political reporter for the Washington Post. He actually wrote that article I was just reading from. So, Robert, I mean, we play sort of the more outlandish reactions we saw this week from the right. But the thing that was most striking to me is when you look at the Republicans who are out there running for president, the most prominent voices really, within the Republican Party, at least as elected officials, you weren't hearing that this week. And I thinking back to 2003, 2004, when Massachusetts legalized gay marriage, I remember the Republicans, George W. Bush, Karl Rove, his campaign, they jumped right on that as a big issue for 2004, the opposition to gay marriage. This Bruce Jenner thing happens this week, Caitlyn Jenner thing happens this week, and you don't hear that kind of reaction. Seems like a pretty big transformation there potentially.
It is a major evolution for the Republican Party to not seize on this as a social issue that they could perhaps use to capitalize on politically. You didn't have any anger from Republican candidates. Mike Huckabee cracked a joke. It didn't go over well. Rick Santorum was inelegant in how he responded and then kind of walked it back on conservative media. But even as Republican candidates respond in a muted way or almost silence, it's almost like the Republican family, the Republican Party, still has some frustrations with how the culture is moving. It's like these candidates are at a Thanksgiving table, and one part of the family is really not a fan of Caitlyn Jenner. They may have their own views, they're fine with it, and the kids know that the country's moved on, but they're not going to engage because they know the base still has a certain opinion.
And there, in a certain way, you can live with tension within your family, but at another point, this will come to a head, this basic tension you're describing, and I'm thinking of what's coming up here, the Supreme Court ruling on gay marriage, potentially making it legal in all 50 states, and then it's a question of how would the Republican Party respond to that, and which of those two forces would prevail? Would it be sort of the old guard saying, no, we got to fight this, we got to find some way to override this, or would it be that sort of the new guard, for lack of a better term, saying, let's just let this go?
Well, you guys just nailed it in your panel. There's a feeling among a lot of the top-tier Republican campaigns that Iowa and the influence of social conservatives has sort of waned, but they still remain in this bunker mentality because, as you said, the Supreme Court's coming up with its decision, and they thought that this was going to be a battle of legal issues and legislative issues with the religious liberty laws earlier this year. But now, because transgender issues are at the top of the American scene, not just the political scene, we have Republicans realizing that Caitlyn Jenner is not the first issue that's going to be coming up on this front in this campaign.
Well, so, Kristen, let me bring in this Republican pollster. So let's say you've got a client out there, I'm sure you do, running for office and saying, how do I talk about this? How do I talk about Caitlyn Jenner? How do I talk about the Supreme Court rules on gay marriage? What's the advice from a pollster to a Republican candidate right now?
I think there's a very big difference between having to come out and comment on a legal ruling, a policy that's out there, and having to comment on a magazine cover. I mean, I, for one, welcome Caitlyn Jenner to the Republican Party. We need more conservative women. So, I personally think, hey, this is great, but I don't think or expect every single political leader to have an opinion or come out and say something on this. The polling is very different on things like the issue of marriage equality, where the polling has shown a dramatic shift in even just the last decade, and the number of people who say they know someone who's gay or lesbian has really increased. On the other hand, the percentage of Americans who say they know someone who's transgender is less than 1 in 10. You have a quarter of the American population that doesn't even know what the term transgender really means. This is an issue where, if I'm advising a candidate, I'm saying, I don't know that you have to weigh in on this publicly unless there is a public policy issue in front of you that you, as the President of the United States, would have to take on.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure it out, Jonathan, it's clear where the country is on gay marriage and how it's moved so dramatically. I think when it comes to transgender issues, it's not something that's really been fleshed out in our politics.
No, it hasn't. And as I've been saying for a while now, the country has been engaged in a very vigorous debate, basically since the Stonewall riots in 1969, about the L, the G, and the B in LGBT. We've had this raucous conversation about what it means to be lesbian or gay in this country, what it means in terms of civil rights, what it means in terms of making this country more whole and more pure in terms of its ideals when it comes to the L, the G, and the B. The T has always been silent. And I think it's been silent because it involves a very difficult and uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people, and not just straight people. There are a lot of people in the gay community, particularly gay men, who have issues with transgender. But when you have somebody like Caitlyn Jenner who comes out and says, look, I'm transgender, this is who I am, and basically deal with it, she's forced this nation to finally start talking about the T in a way that it hasn't done pretty much ever, except within the last maybe year and a half, with Laverne Cox, on the actress from Orange is the New Black, on the cover of Time magazine. I think the first time a transgender person had been on the cover of Time magazine. We've started having this conversation, but when you have a cultural icon, a sports icon like Caitlyn Jenner, who goes through this transition, she's beautiful, she's wealthy, forces everyone to not only talk about it, but to take it seriously.
Right. No, this is the moment, I think, when people are starting to think about this. Most people, probably for the first time, maybe the first time ever. Robert Costa, Washington Post, I want to thank you for getting up this morning. And great article. If you haven't read it yet, go out there and check that out. Thank you very much. Coming up.